Welcome to Enlightenment Now.
Listening is not sufficient, and replaying the tape is not sufficient. It is understanding that is sufficient. So, what is understanding? Let's take, your analogy of music is nice, but let's take the telling of a joke, because it's clearer. When you hear a joke, I'm a useless storyteller, so I'm not even going to try and tell you a joke now. But when a good storyteller tells a joke, they eke the joke out for as long as possible. And as the joke is being told, the mind is wound up into a state of tension, always anticipating that. And a good storyteller will make us feel that we're about to be relieved of the tension, only to take off again and never quite let us. Exactly the same with a Bach sonata. Just feel the piece of music is going to be resolved, and off he goes again in a different key. So in this way, the mind is led on a journey and is wound up with this, in this state of anticipation, which is tension. Now, when the storyteller, with the very last word of the joke, we understand the joke and we burst out laughing. Now, when did the experience of understanding take place?
At the punchline, at the end
No,
of the...
After the punchline. You had to hear it. Sometimes even, if you don't get the joke immediately, there can be a pause. The joke has come to an end. The laughter has not yet begun. The joke is a movement of the mind, a movement of thought. The laughter is a movement of mind, it is a vibration of the body. So between these two movements of mind, what takes place? Understanding. So understanding takes place in between these two expressions of mind. It takes place in the absence of mind. Mind, in this case, we mean absence of the objective element of mind. It doesn't take place in thought. It takes place in the gap between thoughts. Now, when a thought dissolves, going back to our meditation this morning, when the objective element of mind dissolves, what remains?
The experience.
Just knowing.
Just knowing.
It's the screen between two frames of a movie. When the thought disappears, the knowing out of which it was made doesn't disappear. So when a thought disappears, all that disappears is a coloring of consciousness, or an activity of consciousness ceases, leaving pure consciousness. That is the experience of understanding. Consciousness is no longer coloring itself in the form of thought. The color dissolves, and consciousness knows itself, its own uncolored self. That is the experience of understanding, consciousness knowing its own being.